right and centre. And we're going to start off with the news that is just hot off the press, literally right this second. Archie Gray. Fabrizio Romano has says that Newcastle has sent an offer to Tottenham for Archie Gray, which has been rejected. Spurs made their position clear following the approach, with no agreement reached between the clubs at this stage. Told Newcastle remain interested, while Spurs' stance is unchanged for now. I wonder if this is anything linked with Tonali. If we refuse Gray, are they going to refuse Tonali?
Is this a Vuskovic Brighton kind of scenario where they ended up, they tried their luck to replace Van Heckel with Vuskovic? Didn't happen, but we still got our man. I think Newcastle, obviously knowing there's been rumours of Bergvall leaving, but then he's now said he's up for sale. Is it possible that they've looked at the situation thinking, look, Archie got in his ear and they've told him, you're not going to get much game time. Now they've got Fernandes. They're trying to get Tonali off us. Come to Newcastle, we'll give you a starting berth. You can come in and replace Tonali. And
it's quite mad, though. Archie Gray to replace Tonali.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It would be an insane... how much do you reckon we would charge for Archie Gray?
Well, we signed him for 40, so it's got to be no less than that. I think...
Has his value increased massively since coming?
I mean, his value was never 40 when we signed him. It was a massive overpayment when we signed him. He was probably... When we signed him, he was probably like a £15 million player, let's be honest. One season in the Championship, that's all he had behind him. Obviously big...
Playing a right back as well.
Yeah. So obviously big potential with Archie Gray, and I believe in his talents for sure. But I don't think Spurs will probably accept anything less than 60. You know,
so you reckon
they want to keep him.
You reckon we demand more for Gray than Bergvall?
I think so, because we paid a lot more for Archie Gray. Bergvall we got on the cheap.
So there's more more profit with Gray. Yeah, it's a very interesting one. Would you include Gray in a sweetener for Tonali to get the price down? If it gets the price down by like 30 million, 40 million?
I think they should take Bergvall if they're going to take any of them. Bergvall's the one pushing to leave.
Well, they're the one they want. They want Gray, I'm saying.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't, to be honest. I want to keep Gray and just give them the money.
So it's an interesting one. I think again, Gray and Bergvall, I think most Tottenham fans think of them in the same way. Really talented, really great kind of guys as well. You can see how they're always willing to learn. They're good characters in the dressing room. I think they're good influences. I think Gray at the moment has a little bit more value just because he can play in that midfield position that we've seen, and also he's a bit versatile. He can fill in different positions. Maybe you would say in terms of the highs, Bergvall's had higher highs, but they're maybe lower lows than Gray. I think that's fair to say.
Both of them have claimed our Player of the Year award.
But I know. I'm saying Bergvall's probably better last year than Gray was this year, maybe.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
But then, you know, the lows have been, Bergvall's been quite poor last season, whereas Gray has always had a solid level. He's never really been terrible, has he, Archie Gray? So he's maybe a bit more consistent than Bergvall, it's fair to say. So it's an interesting one in terms of who you would pick. I do wonder how high Newcastle would be. Is this an opportunistic kind of bid from Newcastle? I wonder what the bid was and what we've rejected. But is it a case of, you know, we're getting Tonali and Fernandes and they're maybe sniffing an opportunity, a bit like what Brighton did with Vuskovic, as I was saying. They sniffed an opportunity to get a really talented youngster in at a point where it was looking like he was surplus to requirements. Are they looking at our midfield options and thinking, is he surplus to requirements at Tottenham? Could we maybe still in here? Obviously, the fact that we've rejected it, we'll have to wait and see if they come up with an improved offer and whether we're open to it. But we've already said Bergvall's not for sale. I mean, officially, apparently he wants to leave, so we'll have to wait and see how that affects it. But we haven't heard anything about Gray, about whether he's for sale or not. I think.
Yeah, on the update yesterday, we said he's not for sale.
Who, Archie?
Yeah.
Who was that from?
It was from, I don't know who it was. I think it was like Team Talk or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay.
But we
haven't really heard from reliable sources. I mean, Bergvall's been from Ornstein, so that's a bit different, but.
No, Ornstein said that he wants to leave. That's what Ornstein said.
Yeah, who was it who said he wasn't for sale? That was a good journalist. That was a proper journalist. It was like Edwards, I think, or Paul. It was a reliable journalist. It was a journalist, I would say, not like Team Talk. It was like a reputable one. But yeah, I don't want to sell Gray. I want to keep him. But I just got a feeling we have to let go of one of them. That's the thing. If we're getting Tonali, we can't keep both Bergvall and Gray happy, can we? That's the reality. With Sarr already in the pipeline to leave, we haven't really heard much about that, but he's probably going to leave.
For me, my ultimate would probably be to have them two as backups to Tonali and Fernandes. Like, why not? To have them as our four midfielders. Gray.
And Gallagher, there you got as well.
Gray, Bergvall, but also Gallagher can play in the 10 whilst Javi's getting back to his fitness. So I'd have Gray, Bergvall, and Tonali and Fernandes, and then I don't know, maybe I would even consider selling Bentancur. I know Bentancur's better than them right now, but I think Gray and Bergvall are the future.
Yeah. Well, maybe you can keep them both and Bentancur, and then you sell Sarr, you have Gallagher, you have Tonali and Fernandes, and maybe is there enough time to is there enough to go around, especially when all the injuries we've been picking up, you know? Is there enough time to go around? When can you even rely on all these players to play as many minutes? So I think it's the right course of action, but at what price do you consider what Newcastle are offering there?
I told you, about 60 million probably.
I thought you thought Spurs would consider. I was asking you. But yeah, okay, so you say 60 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
And I think, we've rejected offers now for both Bergvall and Archie Gray this summer already. It's led to believe Damasio said 50 million euros a bid came in for Lucas Bergvall.
Yeah. So, people talk about, I mean, I know it's only us theorising about prices, but people talk about the insane market and overpayments, and yet, Tonali ain't worth 85 or 100 million, yet we're saying we would only sell Gray for 60. So if Gray is 60, how much is Tonali?
Exactly.
He's double.
Probably.
He'd be 120.
100%.
So what, a bargain would be 100
We're getting a bargain. Getting a bargain. Absolutely spot on. The market is just crazy right now, and you've got to price the players of what the market is. So Archie Gray and Lucas Bergvall, and also what they mean to the club in terms of you're looking at what we keep mentioning in terms of squad building for next season. So that all has to come into it. So yeah, Archie Gray and Bergvall can't go on the cheap. And I don't think they should go at all, but particularly on the cheap.
Yeah, I think the right stance at the moment is they're not for sale. We want them part of the squad. We want to keep them. I think from Tottenham's point of view, they want them to be part of the team. They want them in the squad next season. They shouldn't want to sell. The only problem is from Graham Bergvall's point of view. Do they want to stay if we're signing all these players and they want guaranteed game time? That's the issue. I think from Tottenham's point of view, they are more than happy to keep both of them and let them progress, unless there's a crazy offer on the table. Yeah. And I think that's the right course of action. Yeah. And I like that stance from Tottenham. But I do wonder what bid would make them consider. Yeah, I don't think we get a £60 million bid for Gray. I don't think anyone comes in for that high on him. I'll be shocked.
We are not selling him at a loss. That's a guarantee.
No.
It has to be north of 40 million. And I don't think we want to make our money back either. So it's going to have to be heavy profit or nothing, in my opinion. I think that's pretty simple.
If they came in for a double bid of 100 million for Graham Bergvall, would you accept that?
No.
No, 100 million.
I wouldn't, because I think that's underrating Gray, and I think maybe you'd have to do a single deal for Bergvall. I would do maybe 50 or 60 million for Bergvall. I think for both of them, you got to pay 120, 130 million.
It's nuts.
That's the market. I know it's crazy when you sound like 100 million for these two players, but this is the market right now.
Let's put a poll out. What would we say if we got 100 million? Well, okay. Actually, I want to know a poll. What kind of price how much would you want for Gray? How much would? I'm very interested to know what the chat is saying.
All right. Anyway, let's move on from Archie Gray. Let's talk about Matteas Fernandez. As SZY has said that Matteas Fernandez has arrived at Hotspur Way today for his medical. So assume that an official announcement will be with you very, very soon. Florian Plettenberg says that Fernandez rejected the opportunity to join Manchester United. Manu informed by the players' camp, and Spurs won the race after Fernandez did reject Manchester United. Apparently there was a suggestion as well that Man United actually did bid 85 million, but the payment terms weren't as good as what Spurs were offering. So they offered, I think they offered 70 million up front with 15 million
add-ons, yeah.
And then Spurs just blew them out the water with 85 million just straight up front, which is nuts, isn't it? It's nuts. But Plettenberg is saying that Fernandes actually did reject the chance to join Manchester United.
But is he saying that West Ham agreed their deal?
He didn't say no, but he said I think he's suggesting that he favoured the move to Spurs over Manchester United in the end.
But you can't reject a deal if there was no deal to.
Yeah,
on
but
the
maybe
table.
he rejected the personal terms.
Because we offered higher. Interesting. Or maybe it just became a case where Man United couldn't agree the deal, so he was like, you know what, Tottenham are clearly more interested in me. Tottenham clearly want me more, so I'm just going to go there. And I've got to pick, even if Man United match the fee in the end, I'm going to go Tottenham because they're clearly pushing about for me more and they're giving me higher wages. Yeah. So fair play. And again, we've spoken about a lot yesterday about Tottenham putting their money where their mouth is when it came to this deal. So super impressed and excited about it. And when it comes to Fernandes, I can't wait to see what he's going to bring on the pitch. I think it's going to be something that we just haven't had in so long. But when it comes to that, I mean, I think a lot of it just comes down to we were able to put the money down. 85 million as a flat fee is insane. I mean, 70 with 50 million add-ons, even that's high, I would think. But Man United, I think it's a cash issue. They just didn't have the cash right now to pay it. I don't really care, if you've got the money, flaunt it. You know what I mean? That's what I say.
We've been asking for them to do it for years and years and years. You can't complain when they finally do it.
There's no point having all this financial advantage if you don't use it.
Exactly. Fabrizio Romano also said that the De Zerbi was a big factor in Matteas' moves to Tottenham. He called the midfielder several times to get the deal done. When De Zerbi calls, it's a different kind of call. And Tom Allnut said that same thing pretty much, saying Fernandes had been convinced by De Zerbi's vision and specific plan for his development at Tottenham. The long-term aim is for the midfielder to become the team's central playmaker from the base of midfield, which is very interesting.
Yeah, and a lot of saying Romano said he was crazy about Fernandes and he was absolutely desperate to get him in. So it seems like another player. It's another example, like Van Hecke, of De Zerbi really being strong about a player and the club, backing him and getting the funds and investment behind him.
Yeah, it's also interesting with these players that Spurs have brought in. Because SZY says, Spurs absolutely buzzing internally about Fernandes, but he's been tracked by the club for over 3 years. Like these players, like Van Hecke, Matteas Fernandez, Savinho, all these players we've been, tracking for some time, and it predates De Zerbi. So obviously De Zerbi seems to be very much in alignment to what the scouting have said.
Well, there are players who, I mean, like, it's a complicated issue. There are some players that a lot of teams want. It's not about specific scouts. They're just very good players who anyone would want, and maybe Fernandes would fall into that category. But there seems to be at the moment a lot of names linked, and a lot of names that all the players basically that we're getting at the moment seem to be predate De Zerbi. But I guess when you're looking at what they offer, they're just so De Zerbi players. They just are, and they offer exactly what De Zerbi would want in a footballer. So it's tough to say. Is it coincidence that it's all lined up, that the players we are now going for seem to be really kind of in line with what De Zerbi needs in a footballer? Is that coincidence, or is it a case of our scouting is just looking for that kind of player, and it just so happens to line up with De Zerbi? It's hard to say exactly, but a few weeks ago we were saying anyone linked with us before is a negative before De Zerbi, but now it seems as though there seems to be some sort of synergy. It's hard to put your figure on it.
I know. It is very interesting because we know the links between Van Hecke and De Zerbi. We know Matteas Fernandez is very much a De Zerbi-like player, but maybe these players wouldn't have been good, if we brought them in for other managers. If we would have brought these players in under Thomas Frank, they probably won't be anywhere near as good or fit as well as what they're going to do under De Zerbi. So maybe the scouting was poor for Thomas Frank, but it aligns with Roberto De Zerbi. So happy days.
To be fair, I thought in terms of the alignment when we had Ange, I'm not saying we had good windows. I'm just saying the kind of profile of players we actually did sign, especially in that first window, was good. And I thought they did align a lot with what Ange wanted. You know, Van der Ven, Maddison, those kind of players. Obviously, the second window was, didn't work out. But even then, I still think the profile of player was fine.
Apart from Dragusin, yeah.
Yeah, apart from Dragusin was a massive misstep. But apart from him, I think the kind of profile players was actually what we're looking for. You can argue about the quality, but I think the profiles were definitely there.
Completely agree.
So, but when we moved over to Frank, I still think, you look at some of the players. I mean, apart from maybe Paulinho, you could argue a lot of them were good fits for a good attacking manager, but we just had a horrible appointment. That was the problem.
Yeah, agreed. Let's talk about Sandro Tonali now, because it does seem to be moving in the right direction. Fabrizio Romano last night, straight after the Fernandes here we go, said that Tottenham remained locked in talks with Newcastle for Sandro Tonali despite signing Matteas Fernandez. Alfredo Padula says Sandro Tonali to Tottenham is now very close to being agreed. Spurs have offered over 100 million euros to get the deal done. Despite links to other clubs in the last 2 weeks, Tonali prevailing sentiment has always been his desire to prioritise Roberto De Zerbi and Tottenham Hotspur. The Standard are reporting that Tottenham could break their transfer record for the second time in a week as talks remain ongoing with Newcastle over a deal for Sandro Tonali. Himothy has said that Tottenham have not been fearful of any sort of hijack from Manchester City. Tonali has huge admiration for Roberto De Zerbi. It is very likely Tonali joins. The deal is at the final stages. It would smash their record fee once again. And even Arsenal ITKs are confirming the fact that Sandro Tonali is joining Spurs, because Hand of Arsenal, who's obviously probably Arsenal's #1 ITK, is saying that Sandro Tonali will be sold to Spurs for 90 to 100 million pounds.
I'm guessing maybe it's 90 plus add-ons or something, maybe rising. Well, we heard the deal that they want is 85 plus 15 in add-ons, taking it to 100. So we'll have to wait and see.
And Fabrizio Romano, I think, has just tweeted on Tonali.
Oh, what's he said?
It's not a tweet, but I think it might be on his... it says Tottenham are pushing to get... Oh, it's the same thing. It's the same thing.
What, Tottenham pushing to get Tonali?
He says Tottenham pushing to get Tonali deal done as their top priority after Matteas Fernandez, who is having a medical right now. So that confirms the medical as well.
Well, yeah, I think we heard before, didn't we, that Fernandes was a bit of a priority due to the fact that United were circling, so we needed to kind of prioritise that, even though before that Tonali was the priority. But now that's sorted, now we can focus on Tonali. And I mean, imagine breaking our transfer record twice in a week, and considering we smashed it with 85 million, if we break that again, that would be insane. That would be absolutely insane.
Spurs are moving mad in this transfer window. Moving mad. If we get a here we go for Tonali, that's going to be our 6th signing of the window. 52 million for Van Hecke. 85 million for Fernandes, 100 million for Sandro Tonali. Next week, what, we're going to spend 110 million on someone?
Just keep adding an extra 20 million. Keep breaking the record. Keep breaking the record. Absolute madness. Absolute madness.
To be fair, though, if you actually look at the transfer window as a whole and look at the players that we've brought in on a free as well, and spread those costs over, everyone, it's not too bad.
Yeah, I mean, obviously 85 on Fernandes and potentially 100 million on Tonali is massive. But then, yeah, I mean, Van Hecke 52. I don't think that's horrific. And then Senesi, you got
1 year left in his deal. It is mad.
Then you got Senesi on a free.
Who's like what, £40 million player?
He's about a £40 million player. So, yeah. So what would our outlay be if we get Tonali in? That would, for 100 million. That's already what we spent. Over
about
200.
230 million or so.
It's insane before selling any players. Unless if we can get Tonali and partner him with Fernandes, our midfield is looking absolutely frightening. And all of a sudden, you're looking at that, and that's a midfield I think De Zerbi can deal with. And it'll be another player that De Zerbi has clearly asked for and De Zerbi has clearly prioritised. And I remember when we were talking about Tonali at the beginning, like he just seemed like such an unrealistic target. Yeah, it seems as though Tottenham are willing to put their money where their mouth is this summer. And it seems something really is brewing behind the scenes. Let's just hope we can get this over the line. Everything again seems to be. We were saying this about Fernandes, but we didn't quite believe it. But it just seemed to be true. Everything was pointing in the right direction. Man United didn't seem to have the funds. We seemed to move ahead because we were in a better financial position to actually put the money down. And West Ham was saying they're going to take the best financial offer. This one as well. You know, we seem to be willing to pay a very, very significant fee. He seems to want to come. City and Arsenal don't seem to be as interested at the moment. So we're the ones really, really pushing. So it does seem to be going in the right direction. I still can't quite believe it. But after Fernandes has got over the line, I mean, why not? Maybe we should start believing. I think we've been burnt so many times. No Tottenham fan ever wants to get ahead of themselves because we just have so many times and it's blown up in our faces. But I mean, it just all we can report is what we're seeing, and what right now is it all points to it's going in the right direction.
Does this transfer window make everything that we went through with Thomas Frank and Igor Tudor and the failed bids of Eze and Morgan Gibbs White worth it?
Maybe it was all worth it. Maybe I can't thank Thomas Frank enough for what he's done for this football club.
Big up to Thomas Frank and big up to Igor Tudor. All right, let's move on because Tom Allnut said that Tottenham now want to sign 2 attackers this summer, one being a left winger, and I'm guessing the other being a striker. 2 strikers have been linked to Spurs. Yesterday, there's been a report on Florian Balogun from Santiona and Sebastian Dennis, reports coming out of France, saying with the departure of Gonçalo Ramos, PSG is scouting for a centre forward. Florian Balogun is one of the profiles appreciated internally. However, there is heavy competition from Tottenham, who have made him their priority, as well as from Chelsea, who are also interested in the striker. I mean, we spoke a bit about Balogun, didn't we, about just after the first round of games at the World Cup. Had a brilliant game in his first game. I'm still not 100% convinced on Balogun. I'm not 100% sure.
I do like him. I don't know if he's a top striker, but you got to remember he's still 24. You know, maybe he's blossoming and maybe he's peaking right now. Obviously, he has had a couple of really good. I think he's had a pretty good time of it in the French league. Obviously, one really outstanding season, but the other seasons still fairly decent goal scoring records.
It is the French league.
But it is the French league, so you do have to caveat that. I think when you just look at how he plays, I think he's strong, he's quick, and he's got a pretty decent finish on him. So I do think he reminds me, if I was to compare him, he definitely reminds me a lot of like someone like Nicholas Jackson, who's just always kind of there. He always kind of causes trouble. He's always a bit of a handful. But when it comes to real decisive moments, will he give you that edge? Is he going to get you 25, 20 goals a season?
I think he's a better finisher than Nicholas Jackson.
Probably. I think probably Jackson's a bit stronger and faster, but they're a bit. It's very similar. I think they're very similar kind of players.
I would worry with him going up against like low block teams as well, and I feel like Spurs are going to come up probably against majority. Like, a lot of teams are going to sit back against us.
Yeah, but I also think he's quite quick and he's quite agile as well. So if you get the ball into him quickly before the defence has time to settle, then he can get those shots off quite quickly. We saw that with the second goal he got against Paraguay. He was able to just take the ball, quick touch and a brilliant finish in the top corner on his left foot. I think there is a good player in there. I think he probably needs more refining, so it's a bit of a risk, obviously. I don't know if I'd make him my number one target.
It's interesting that PSG are after him though.
Yeah, if we believe it. I mean, PSG, obviously they're looking to replace Ramos, but surely not for Balogun. Who knows? Maybe. Sometimes those kind of players, they can surprise you. You have him as backup, and he can just be that something a little bit different that PSG don't have.
What? Someone in the comments just said it, and I do agree. Like I would actually very much consider Brian Brobby for Spurs. I think
he's a battering ram, isn't he?
He is, and I think like he is. Someone said in the comments like a profile Spurs could do with.
I don't think he's better than Solanke, personally.
He might not be better than Solanke, but I think he might be better for us than a Solanke or particularly a Richarlison.
Yeah, I think maybe Richarlison. For me, I think Brobby offers something very similar to Solanke. I think they're both not the best finishers, but they're both extremely strong when they're back to goal, and they're both a bit battering rams. I think Brobby's obviously
a lot stronger.
I think, yeah, Brobby is got unbelievable strength. Unbelievable strength. I think Solanke has a bit better technical abilities, better chest control, better touch. I think Brobby is insane holding players off. I think finishing wise, both quite similar. I don't know if one is that much better than the other. I think they're probably in a similar range. My point being is I wouldn't go and sign Brobby when we have Solanke, unless you want to sell Solanke. But then for me, you're kind of just replacing like for like. I don't see the point of it. I know the recent history, Brobby's had a bit of a better time of it than Solanke. But as I've always said, if we can keep Solanke fit, I think we've got a good player there. I think there's been problems with him over the last couple of years.
A big if at this point.
I don't know. I think for most of his career, he's been really reliable fitness-wise. I know for the last 2 years he's had problems, but if you take his career as a whole, I wouldn't say it's a big if to say we can keep him fit. And I don't know why we haven't been able to. And if he doesn't for another year, then yeah, I think fine. At that point, you have to say there's something really wrong. But for these, I would say I don't think it's a big if to say we can keep him fit. And I think I wouldn't go and swap Solanke for Brobby. I don't think.
I think I would consider it. I really would consider it. I think he's a nightmare to play against, Brobby, man. We saw it firsthand last season. I think the majority of teams, I think Arsenal struggled against him. I think teams struggle against Brobby, man.
And also,
we're not even linked with him, so there's probably no point.
And also, the pressing off the ball, I don't think Brobby does what Solanke does in that sense as well.
Yeah.
To a bet. Well, Brobby does make a lot of fouls. We know that he's very aggressive. I just don't see the point. I would keep Solanke rather than, because Brobby also there's probably going to have to be a premium because his stock is a bit high. A couple of goals in the World Cup, decent first season in the Prem. Sunderland don't have to sell. So, I mean, I don't know how much it would cost to get Brobby. I'd rather just keep Solanke. But when it comes to Balogun, I think the only way I would get Balogun is if we would sell Solanke and Richarlison. Then I'd get Balogun and maybe another one who's a more established guy. Because I actually think Balogun would have his uses as he causes a bit of chaos in the box. He just offers something a bit different. But I don't know if he's good enough to lead the line for us on a regular basis and be our number one striker. I wouldn't mind him as a backup though. But I wouldn't want him back up to Solanke. I don't think there's enough there. You know what I mean? You would need him back up to a better striker.
In an ideal world, you would want two profiles as striker. You would want one that's kind of very physical, that's good against low blocks, and then you want one like Balogun who's fast and can get in behind. So you can plan for each and every different opponent. So if we had like one like that that's really good, tall, that can win the balls in the air. As our starting number 9, and have Balogun for when we play against maybe the likes of a Man City, Liverpool, those kind of teams. So if we had that, then yeah, I'd be more interested in Balogun. But the next player we're going to talk about is someone who I am very interested in, and he goes by the name of Junior Kroupi. Paul O'Keefe saying that Kroupi is among the 4 players Tottenham are interested in him. SZY also backed that up, saying that Tottenham do have an interest in Kroupi. And he actually tweeted in January that saying Spurs were interested in Kroupi, but it's not going to be one for January. So Spurs have held an interest for a while. He's been phenomenal for Bournemouth this season. Very versatile, can play on the wing, can play in the 10, can play up front. I would love Kroupi at Spurs. I think he's phenomenal, and his finishing ability is sensational, man.
That's his best attribute, is his ability to quickly get shots off with deadly accuracy, and he is such an exciting player. I think anyone is going to be lucky to get him with that his ability. I think he's only going to grow as well physically, so he's only going to have more and more ability to wriggle away from situations, to get even more shots off. Already 13 goals last season, and you just saw the range of finishes, goals outside the box, tight angles. I mean, that kind of finishing is hard to find, especially for a player of his age. I would absolutely love him. Obviously, him as our number 9. I would know. I'll definitely go for him. 100%. I'll definitely go for him. I just have a worry him playing up front on his own and on some occasions when you've got strong centre backs and all that kind of stuff. But I would love Junior Kroupi. I would love him. I think him and Solanke would have a brilliant foil together. And I think that would, if we can get him to partner Solanke, I think that's 2 strikers. I think offer 2 very different things. and I think could also create a brilliant partnership and play together as well.
So Kroupi, it's going to cost 100 million though. Kroupi, you know, he ain't going for less than that. I think there's no release clause in his contract. I think next summer 100 million release clause in his contract. So it's gonna cost a lot of money, Kroupi. And can you really see us? Are we going to spend another 100 million on one player this summer?
Never say never. I mean, the thing is with Kroupi,
imagine you said that sentence a few weeks ago.
The way we're moving, I can't rule anything out at the moment. The way we're moving, I'm not going to sit and be pessimistic because why should I? Because we seem to be making some crazy moves at the moment. But the thing is, there's obviously a lot of competition for him. A lot of teams are in for him, big teams. But just like with Fernandes, is anyone willing to put that money down on the table? And if we are, would he come to us? I think there's a good chance he would.
I wouldn't be, you know, shocked if he wanted to stay. He's only been there for a year. Like, if he wanted to stay there for another season and continue his development. But if he gets on the phone, get on the blower with De Zerbi, who knows what can happen.
But you've got to remember, Iraola is gone.
Yeah.
Right? So the manager who brought him and who got him that, you know, how the brilliant season that he had, he's not there. So if he left, I wouldn't be. I'm not saying he's going to push for it or anything. I'm just saying if we got a deal agreed, I wouldn't be shocked if he would want to come here.
Yeah. Well, let's try push for it, man, because I think he would be an absolute. He would be an amazing signing for Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah. As I said, I think we haven't had a good that finishing. Obviously, Kane is just a different level, but you know, Richarlison and Solanke, their finishing is just nowhere near what Kroupi offers. Kroupi is just a phenomenal finisher. He's only going to get better.
Exactly. I just want to
and also tell Audebert, Kroupi.
Yeah, get the French front three under 21s, the future of the France team. We need to pivot back to Sandro Tonali because there's been more bombers coming out for Tonali. Dimarzio saying that Sandro Tonali to Tottenham has never been closer. Newcastle's final response to Spurs' latest offer, slightly above 100 million euros, is now awaited. So Spurs have just put in an offer that exceeds 100 million euros.
So what was that, 85 million? So do we think that's a flat fee with maybe, is that what you're talking about? Do you reckon total package? Because 100 million, because 100 million euros wouldn't that be similar to what we offered before, which got rejected?
What did we offer for? Was it 80 million euros or pounds?
I think it was 80 million pounds, which would be close to 100 million euros.
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. But Dimarzio is saying it's never been closer. It's never been close. And Fabrizio Romano literally just tweeted about it as well, saying that Tottenham and Newcastle remain locked in talks for Tonali. He remains top target for Tottenham after Fernandes. Negotiations underway with Archie Gray. Bid rejected, which is a complete separate story. But yeah, in terms of the financials, I don't really know, because I feel like sometimes these journalists get like euros and pounds all mixed up and stuff, so it's hard to really keep track of it.
But these Italian sources seem to be well on top of what's going on with the Italian players a lot of the time, and they're usually a lot more. They get there ahead of the game. So, it's getting close. This is getting close, man.
This is getting done. Come on.
But just a day ago, we were
a big one again today, man.
But just a day ago, we were saying City hijack. Now all of a sudden, that's on the back burner. No one's.
Yeah, but we did say on that stream though, we didn't believe it.
Did someone just tweet? I've missed it.
Bomber Central here at Tottenham Hotspur.
100 million euros. Let's hope that they go for it, or is it going to be another rejected bid, or they're going to hold out for their fee that they were asking for?
Yeah. I don't know. That might be the fee that there are. It could be pounds, people. It could be pounds.
Well, that's what happened last time. He tweeted to Dimarzio, I think it was about Tonali. He was saying he first tweeted euros and he switched it to pounds. Yeah.
So I think it could be something similar to like that. In terms of Guillermo Vicario, Dimarzio also said that the likelihood of Vicario joining Juventus is rising now. So obviously there's a snag in the deal for Emi Martinez, and it looks as though Vicario is getting more likely to join Juventus now.
Yeah, you know what? There was actually a quote. I can't remember who it was from. I think it was from like Juventus director or something.
Yeah.
and he was talking about the situation. And he said there's a lot of talk between us and Martinez, but actually there are other players on the list, like, for example, Vicario, who we quite like. So he actually went out his way to mention him. So I think that gives you a sense that maybe they're leaning towards that. Maybe there are, obviously we know the Italian clubs do have lots of money troubles and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, Vicario, that would be an unbelievable move for him to go to Juve and be their number one. Whether he's good enough to be their number one for where they want to be, maybe he's probably good enough to win a Serie A, but that Juve want to be back amongst the top teams for Champions League, all that kind of stuff. I don't really care. Obviously, as long as we get the money, that's the most important thing. So let's see how it progresses.
Yeah, Alfredo Padula has just tweeted out as well, Tonali to Tottenham soon. So
just
it looks as though we could be getting another big bomber today. We could be getting another big bomber today, and if not today, maybe even tomorrow. So we'll see what happens on that.
Can drop at any time,
people.
Don't stop refreshing your X pages, because we've
Don't
all
stop
got
refreshing your We Are Tottenham TV feed, more like. Kroupi Romero as well. There's been an update on him from Gianluca Longari saying the defender is being closely monitored by Barcelona and Atletico Madrid. The costs are too high for the Italian clubs, but Inter Milan also appreciate him. So it'd be interesting to see. Ben Jacobs, didn't he? He said that Spurs want 70 to 80 million for Kroupi Romero. I find it hard to believe we're going to get that fee. But you never know. If Barcelona go and pay that 150 million for Julian Alvarez, they'll have a bit of money to play with.
Yeah. It's a shame that as we've spoken about, all that's good happening, and then he's going to be jumping ship at this point. But look, it is what it is. We've discussed it to death. We ain't getting the money that we want from Inter. We know that for sure.
If you don't want to be on the train, then this train is going to leave the station very soon.
Fab tweeted again. Oh, which one was what do you call it? So, as the article said there, it doesn't surprise me that De Zerbi likes him and would want him to stay at Spurs. That doesn't surprise me. But it's just one of those things that the timing's wrong. I wished if De Zerbi came halfway through the season instead of 7 games to go, could have things been different? If De Zerbi came instead of Frank, could things be different? If Romero would have stayed fit for those 7 games, we actually got to see him under De Zerbi, could have things been different? All ifs and buts and maybes, unfortunately. But let's see. Yeah, I think we're not going to get 80 million. I think, again, you only really Premier League clubs paid at this point. I know you've got the odd ones with Barca.
AC Milan just paid 70 million for Gonzalo Ramos.
That was a big surprise, to be honest. AC Milan, I don't know where they got that money from, but obviously they paid it for a striker. We'll see how much. I predict somewhere between 50 and 60. That's probably where the sweet spot will be. I don't see us getting more than that.
How is he going to go for 50 and 60 when we paid 52 for Van Hecker with a year left on his deal? You know what I mean? Like, how's he going to go for 50, 60 when that's what we're going for Archie Gray and Lucas Bergvall for? It makes no sense.
Because we're selling outside the Premier League. And we bought from within the Premier League.
But Barcelona, they're flashing money about. They just signed 70 million Andy Gordon and want to sign 150 million Julian Alvarez. They've clearly got money to spend.
Yeah.
So there is money there. There is money there from abroad. Just because teams are abroad doesn't mean they automatically don't have money.
They don't. Yeah, they don't usually have as much as in the Premier League. The Premier League is just like these fees that we're paying in the Premier League is insane. They're nuts. So, there's money there. Maybe we'll get the fee that we want. I think that the asking price will be what Ben Jacobs is saying. That will be the asking price, but I don't think we'll get that.
It might rumble on.
I also think part of the reason I won't get it is you compare it to Van Hecker. Brighton don't want to sell him, do they? Obviously, they want to sign a contract. They're willing to sell because he's only got a year left, but he's an important player. They like him. They want him to stay. As I've said, with Spurs and Romero, there seems to be a willingness on both sides to make a deal happen. So from that point of view, that's probably why I think the value goes down.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to wait and see what happens on that front. But once again, let's pivot back to Sandro Tonali, because Fabrizio Romano has, quote, retweeted his tweet that he just did. His original tweet from 15th of June with an eyes, fire, and white emoji, #THFC. This is close, people. It is imminent. Sandro Tonali to Tottenham is imminent. Come on, guys.
Jesus Christ, things are hotting up. Are we about to break our transfer record for the second time in 2 days?
Tottenham are moving mad.
We did hear, didn't we, that for some reason we were going to maybe wait till after the financial year to go for this one.
Yeah.
I've also heard that apparently with the Fernandes one, if Spurs can show that Fernandes deal was agreed before the 30th, then it goes to the 30th.
Yeah.
So it looks as though there was a reason it was agreed yesterday.
Apparently, what I heard, what I've read, is that it was Spurs more pushing wanted to get it done before the end of the financial year than West Ham, because they wanted to split these two big deals from each financial year.
Exactly. Probably didn't want to put both Tonali and Fernandes in one financial year. Probably just helps ease the burden.
Not yet. Well, it increases our spending power.
That's what I'm saying, yeah. Because you don't, and also because if we've got any rollover from PSR for the last financial year, you'd rather just put it in there than take away from the spending power from the current financial year. So that's maybe how we can do it.
Yeah, and also, if we bring in a Tonali, let's say for 100 million, we're going to make over 100 million in sales as well. So that will make it down to zero again.
Yeah,
which is crazy.
Oh my God, I can't believe that this is advancing. Sandro Tonali.
We've got to get the here we go soon, people. Spurs moving mad, more mad than we've ever moved before. This is a new Tottenham, it seems. Danny Kiriakou kept saying bigger picture this, bigger picture that. To be fair, he did say that when Levy was in charge.
He should never say that when Levy's in charge. This would never be happening if Levy was still here. Guaranteed. Not in a million years.
Are we stream until the here we go, people? Is that what we're doing? We do have England at 5 o'clock.
Even if Levy was willing to break the transfer record this summer, which he might have been willing to. Let's say he was. He would never have done it this quickly. He would always have dragged it out, tried to get every penny off.
Last day of the deal window.
Yeah, it would have been. Yeah, would never have done it twice, and
we've never got Van Hecker.
And we'd never have done it. We've never have done it this early and really been proactive about it. It would have been drag it out, make it as painful as possible, make it as difficult for the selling club even to get replacements, all that kind of stuff. So this is definitely a change in tack. There's no doubt about it. Whatever way you slice it. This is not a case of this was always going to happen whether Levy was here or not. This is something that Levy had to go for this kind of deal making to happen. He had to leave. And it seems as though now we're operating in a different way. Very different way.
It's just mental.
And I do wonder if this guy, Rafi Mawson, he's come from the City Group. He's been in and around these deals, right? And he's also you look at it, right? If you're looking for a Prem-proven centre mid who of certain quality, they're all about this price, aren't they?
Yeah.
So as much as we can all shout here and complain about 85 million, 100 million, and how much these players are costing. If you want that kind of quality, that's currently the going rate. Alex Scott is 80 million. Apparently, Baleba, they want similar money, 80 million. All these players are in the same group of quality. They're all around that price. So if you say, I'm not going to get Fernandes because it's an overpayment, well, then you're just going to have to overpay for someone else to get him in. So you might as well just focus on who's your number one rather than focusing on, this is too much money, this is an overpayment. We can't pay that because in our book value, he's only worth 60 million, right? Because if you're going to go through that right now in this window, you're not going to get the Prem-proven quality centre mids, are you? That's just reality. So, if you look over for 100 million for Tonali, if we say, it's too much, then who are we going to go for? Is it Scott? He's going to be a similar price. You know what I mean? So you might as well go for your number ones.
100%. Couldn't agree more. And to blow other teams out the water that are just, bigger in the Champions League, everything. It's just nuts. It's just nuts. It's something that Spurs have never done before. If this was Levy in charge, he would say, I'm not paying these prices for anyone. He probably would have gone for Hayden Hackney or someone. You know what I mean? Got 15 million Hayden Hackney.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. He would have gone for a much cheaper option, a bit more of a gamble. And maybe it would have worked, but enough times it hasn't.
Yeah, exactly. So obviously we'll be keeping our eyes on all the developments with Sandro Tonali. We've got a few